Hello, I'm Stephen Rolfe Powell. I'm a glassmaker. Making the book was actually much more work than I imagined, and more involved, and took longer than we thought. But it was actually a pretty interesting experience because it forced me to sort of organize my work, and we ended up changing the design of the book several times, and ended up dividing the book into three main sections, dealing with the different types of work that I've done in the past. And the first section is called Teasers, and that's the work that I did originally, and they were all based on more of the human figure influence and some vegetation influence, and they were all basically symmetrical with fairly simple shapes: a round lobe shape, a triple lobe, and a flat shape, and a double lobe shape. And then the second section of the book we called Wackos, and we named them Wackos because it's such a wacky process that we don't work in a very traditional way at all. And so the piece all happens at one time, and it's really just a crazy process, and that's well documented in the book. Each section shows the work from that section, and then it has a series of pictures showing the process shots. Really detailed process shots. And so the Wackos are sort of horizontal pieces that are more based on anteaters, aardvarks, elephants. I've had all kinds of people make references to that, and they actually stand on three legs. And then the last series that we're actually still working on is called Screamers, and we took the asymmetry that developed in the Wackos and brought them back into a vessel orientation. And so they still have some animal. They're more bird-like now, really, and we called them Screamers mainly because I had to come up with a name for that series. But I guess they're more like birds, and they're trumpeting or screaming vessels, possibly. So that was how we organized the book, and we spent a lot of time and effort on the pictures. And David Harp from Louisville did the photography and really did a great job on shooting the book and furnishing really great details to give viewers clues of maybe how to move and look around the pieces. And then the writing in the book, we had three main writers in the book. James Yood from Chicago Art Institute, certainly noted in the field of glass as one of the main critics. And then Laurie Winters, who's a curator at the Milwaukee Art Museum, did the more academic essay on my life, I guess. And then the most colorful biography was by Mark Lucas, who is an old friend of mine and a colleague here at Center College, and teaches English here at Center. And he wrote really more of the colorful bio and told things he probably shouldn't have told. But really, he did some great interviews with our crew and what it was like to work with me. So the whole book really made me, see parts of myself that I wasn't aware of. So. Yeah, my background, which again is documented in the book, really began more with painting, and I think that's my interest in color was what got me into art in the beginning, which was painting. And then into ceramics, I was really a colorist, I think. That's the main thing. And each move I've made from mediums, I think, was because of my desire to see color in a different way. And so I took painting as far as I could. I was pouring paint, sort of, post abstract expressionist, Jackson Pollock-ish influence, kind of. I was intrigued by the abstract expressionists, Kenneth Nolan, Mark Rothko, Morris Lewis, that artists could carry off a painting with just color, with no subject matter. So I was really into non-representational painting, and then I went into ceramics because I enjoyed the strength and depth of color you could get with the firing processes, like the rich red glaze on a porcelain body, that sort of thing. And then I'm also a pyromaniac, so I love fire. And then when I saw glass really late in life. I'd never even seen glass being made until I was in graduate school in ceramics. And as soon as I saw it, I knew that was what I would be doing. And it had, not only did it have the pyromania I loved, but it also had things you could have an interaction between color and light with glass that you cannot have in any other medium. And so I really try to exploit the way light interacts with color, and I use transparent glass, which is glass that you can see through and light transmits through, and I use opaque glass, which light does not go through and you can't see through. Then I use translucent glass, which is in between, where light goes through but you can't really see through it. So you can really play with the interaction of color and light. Now the project that we're working on right now is something I've never done before. I've toyed with the idea of installations. We started to do an installation project for the Singletary Center at the University of Kentucky, but we never finished it. And then the Danville Boyle County Library came after me to do an installation in the new addition to the library, and they just, I don't know how they talked me into it, but I'm doing it. And so the idea is still, well, hopefully it's not still developing, but originally it was, I had sort of proposed to do 87 pieces that we were going to hang in this formation. And then as the idea evolved and I got into the project more, we've now gone to, I believe it's about 360 pieces. And so, you know, we're making these single units, and the idea is sort of, again, based on my regular work, which is all formed from what are called murrini, little beads of color, usually 2 or 3 colors in each bead are murrini. And so the idea here is that we're blowing each piece, which is about 10 inches in diameter, in a single color, and that will act in a similar way that a murrini would work, in sort of a pointillistic way, slightly, we're hoping. But again, I've never worked on this scale. This piece is going to end up being, I believe, 15 feet wide, and will be a conical shape coming down to a single piece at the bottom. And I think it'll be about 11 or 12, 13 feet in height. I'm still working that out. There is definitely an emotional struggle in my work. That's just part of, I think, you know, you have this inner pressure and certainly outer pressure, but I try to ignore almost all the outer gallery pressures and that sort of thing, you know, to keep changing your work, improving your work. But, you know, I certainly want to do that, so I'm constantly challenging myself on what we're making, how we're making it. I mean, there are different ways to challenge yourself, and, you know, a lot of my work is very physical, and the process of blowing out glass, it's another thing that drew me into glass, is I probably more physical than mental, and I like the direct, you know, as direct as I can be with the material. So we are, you know, I go through frustration and, you know, all the things that you know, my students go through as they're trying to find a direction. Even though I would say I probably have developed a direction, I'm still always trying to push for new boundaries. And, you know, this new direction of installation is certainly been frustrating and challenging, and we'll see where it takes you. But, you know, it's interesting though to when you do a book like this, you look, you know, you really have a chance to look back and see where you've been, and pieces that I always keep my very best pieces, and most of them have been squirreled away in a closet somewhere or something. So everything came out for the book, and then to talk about it and have people interview, you know, it really made me look back at where I've been and how I got there, and it's more interesting than I thought it would be. So.